A man was found dead on a quiet Australian beach in 1948. In 2022, after over 70 years, science finally gives him a name. But does knowing his name mean we know the truth about his life? And more importantly, his death? The latest evidence has answered one question, but it has opened the door to a dozen more, leaving us to wonder if we'll ever know the full story of the Somerton Man. Welcome to Chalk and Silence, real crimes, real mysteries, real unsolved stories that were waiting in the dark. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, since it helps keep these stories alive. The mystery begins on December 1st, 1948, on Somerton Park Beach in Adelaide. As the sun came up, a man's body was seen leaning against a seawall. He was so still, so peaceful-looking in his sharp brown suit, that people who had passed by the night before just thought he was drunk or asleep. His head was rested back, his legs were stretched out, and his feet were crossed. He looked like a businessman resting, not a man who had taken his last breath. But when police arrived, the strange details started piling up. There was no wallet, no money, no ID. And when they looked at his clothes, they found that every single tag had been meticulously cut off. The labels from his suit, his tie, even his underwear were gone. It was a deliberate, calculated effort to erase his identity. The coroner couldn't find the cause of death. The man was in perfect physical shape, with the build of an athlete, but his insides told a different story. His spleen was swollen to 3 times its normal size, and his organs were congested with blood. The pathologist suspected a poison, one so potent and obscure it was untraceable by the science of the day. The case was a dead end from the start, leaving authorities and the public with a ghost on their hands. The first real clue came from a place no one expected. During one last examination before the man was to be buried, a pathologist felt a small, hard object sewn deep into a hidden fob pocket of the man's trousers. It was a tiny, rolled-up piece of paper with 2 words printed on it: Tamám Shud. It's a Persian phrase meaning "it is finished" or "the end." These are the final words from a book of poems, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Police made a public plea, asking if anyone had found a copy of this book with the last page torn out. Months went by. Nothing. Then, a local man came forward. He said he'd found a copy of the Rubaiyat in the back of his unlocked car, which he'd parked near Somerton Beach around the time the body was found. He hadn't thought much of it, but after seeing the news appeal, he checked the book. The last page was missing the words Tamám Shud. This was the book. And inside, investigators found something that turned the case on its head. Faintly penciled in the back were 5 lines of what looked like a code, a jumble of capital letters that the world's best cryptographers to this day have not been able to solve. Beneath the code was a phone number. This number belonged to a young nurse named Jessica Thompson, who lived just a short drive from the beach. When police showed her a plaster cast of the dead man's face, she reportedly looked as if she was going to faint. But she denied knowing him. She said she had no idea who he was or why he would have her number. She became a central figure, yet she remained a shadow, taking whatever secrets she had to her grave. The clues led to more theories than answers. With the code and the untraceable poison, many believed he was a Cold War spy, silenced by enemy agents. Others thought it was a love affair gone tragically wrong. A man who had ended his own life on the shores near the woman he couldn't have. For 74 years, that's where the story stayed. A collection of strange clues and tantalizing theories, but no name for the man on the beach. Then came the breakthrough. In 2021, the man's body was exhumed. Using advanced forensic science that didn't exist in 1948, researchers painstakingly extracted DNA from a few strands of hair found inside the plaster death mask. From that tiny sample, they began the massive task of building a family tree through genetic genealogy. They sifted through thousands of distant relatives until, finally, they found a direct line. In 2022, the Somerton Man had his name back. He was Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker from Melbourne. He was born in 1905, was estranged from his wife, and had a love for poetry. Using this information, scientists were even able to create a facial reconstruction, putting a living face to the ghost who had haunted Australia for generations. But knowing his name didn't solve the case. In fact, it deepened the mystery. Carl Webb was not a spy. He was an ordinary man. So why did he go to such extreme lengths to hide who he was? Why travel to Adelaide and end up on that specific beach? And what was his connection to the nurse, Jessica Thompson? The same genetic research that gave Carl his name also unlocked another secret. DNA from Jessica Thompson's son, Robin, who died in 2009, was tested. The results strongly indicate that Carl Webb was Robin's biological father. Jessica, the woman who claimed to know nothing, was likely the mother of his child. This new evidence recasts the entire story. Was he in Adelaide to see her? To see the son he never knew? Did she know he was there? The questions are endless. Citizen scientists and online detectives continue to dig, analyzing the unbreakable code and debating the final fatal hours of Carl Webb's life. So the search continues. The Somerton Man case is technically still open. We know his name, but we don't know why he died. We don't know if he took his life or if someone took it from him. The poison remains unidentified. The code remains uncracked. The words, Tamám Shud, it is finished, feel less like an ending and more like a challenge. The mystery of Carl Webb, the man on the beach, endures, a powerful reminder that sometimes, even when you find a name, you don't find the truth. The final chapter of his story has yet to be written. To see another mystery that took science decades to solve, check out the video on your screen.